At 5:23 in the afternoon, high above the Yemeni coast, a U.S. Air Force F-16 from the legendary 421st Fighter Squadron stood guard, providing a shield of air power for a U.S. naval task force slicing through the waves below. The mission had been deceptively calm, but in the blink of an eye, the serene sky was about to erupt. Unbeknownst to the pilot, a Houthi SA-8 missile battery lurking near Hodeida had painted his F-16 with its targeting radar and unleashed a deadly projectile. Hurtling forward at 2.8 times the speed of sound with a lethal range of 23 kilometers, the missile left the pilot mere heartbeats to defy death. Fortunately, this F-16 was a technological fortress, armed with sophisticated electronic countermeasures designed to transform a killer missile into a complete dud. Nestled in the aircraft's nose, the ANAPG-83 radar acts as the jet's vigilant first line of defense against just such an attack. The moment the radar screamed a warning, detecting the SA-6 from 42 kilometers out, the pilot slammed his jet into a gut-wrenching dive, plummeting from 30,000 to 15,000 feet. This radical maneuver was critical, as the SA-6 is a relentless hunter designed to track its prey. The SA-6 operates as a semi-active missile, a clever but vulnerable design. This system requires Houthi ground crews to continuously paint the target with radar energy to guide the missile home. Once launched, the SA-6 screams through the air, feeding on this stream of targeting data. As it closes in for the kill, its own internal seeker ignites, desperately pinging for the F-16's location in its final, terrifying moments of flight. By executing the daring dive, the pilot aimed to sever that data link and escape the missile's grasp, but this bold move alone wasn't going to be enough. The F-16's powerful radar, capable of spotting fighter-sized targets up to 470 kilometers away, suddenly lit up with even more inbound threats, a swarm of SA-6 missiles. With only 18 seconds to react to the terrifying barrage, the pilot threw his aircraft into a series of violent, evasive maneuvers. However, these wild contortions crippled his own radar's ability to maintain a lock, as its effectiveness plummets to just 47% when looking 60 degrees off center. Flying blind against some of the incoming rockets, the pilot turned to his next life-saving tool. Tucked away on each wing pylon is a device known as the Pylon Integrated Dispensing System, or PIDS. This piece of engineering was the key to shattering the enemy's kill chain. Although each pod adds 19 kgs of weight and slightly reduces the F-16's payload, it's a small price for survival. Armed with 6 state-of-the-art ultraviolet sensors, the PIDS offers a 360-degree protective bubble, instantly detecting missile launches up to 10 kilometers away. These systems are designed to unleash a blinding combination of infrared flares and radar jamming chaff. As the PIDS sensed the incoming SA-6, it erupted, ejecting 12 brilliant flares and 24 bundles of chaff, instantly creating a half-kilometer wide decoy cloud to fool the enemy missiles. Still, the missile's lock held firm. With death imminent, the pilot unleashed his final trump card, the ANALQ-184 jamming pod on the jet's belly. This powerful pod can overwhelm enemy radar across a massive frequency range using advanced digital RF memory technology, easily neutralizing the SA-6 guidance system. The instant the pilot activated it, the pod severed the missile's connection to their ground controllers. The SA-6 accuracy collapsed by 70%, sending the now unguided rockets careening harmlessly into the sky. Yet, despite this stunning victory in the air, the day's battle was far from over. Just 44 minutes later, as the sun dipped lower, a US Mach 9 Reaper drone took to the skies from Djibouti, embarking on a surveillance mission 50 miles from Hodeida. Its objective was to shadow Houthi supply lines reinforcing their positions. Frustrated by their failure against the F-16, Houthi gunners saw a new target and decided to press their attack. Though the Reaper is less sophisticated than a fighter jet, its missile warning system screamed to life, detecting another SA-6 launch. In less than a second, the drone's automated defenses fired, launching countermeasures as it surged above 15,000 feet, trying to escape the missile's deadly gaze. As the Reaper ascended, its system unleashed a rapid burst of 8 flares, creating a 300-square-meter cloud of chaff to break the lock. But these defenses are finite. Loaded with enough flares and chaff for only 12 engagements, The drone must retreat once 75% of its countermeasures are used. The decision to deploy them rests on its ALR-69 radar warning receiver, a system that scans frequencies to detect enemy radar emissions from 200 kilometers away with pinpoint accuracy. This advanced warning gives the Reaper a crucial 2-second window to react. Thanks to this technology, the operators managed to deploy countermeasures just in time, narrowly avoiding a direct hit. The Reaper, however, did not escape completely unharmed. Upon its return, ground crews were shocked to find its right wing riddled with shrapnel from one of the SA-6 12,000 steel pellets. Miraculously, the drone was repaired and ready to fly again in short order. These attacks were anything but routine. They marked a dangerous escalation. For the first time in this conflict, Houthi forces had dared to fire on a manned American aircraft. The unprovoked aggression demanded a response that would set a powerful new precedent in the escalating war. Back in Washington and at US Central Command, the brazen daylight assault sent shockwaves through the highest levels of power. President Trump quickly determined that only an immediate and overwhelming show of force would suffice. Within a mere 8 hours, the guided missile destroyer USS Spruance was ordered to close in on the Yemeni coast. Once in position, the crew received encrypted strike orders directly from Central Command. While Tomahawk missiles are the typical choice for such a mission, the Navy decided to unleash something far more creative and decisive. Every destroyer in the fleet carries a versatile arsenal, from Tomahawks and SM-20 to anti-submarine rockets. But the Navy's choice for this strike, the SM-6, was designed to send an unmistakable message. As one of the Navy's most elite air defense missiles, second only to the SM-3, the SM-6 is normally reserved for the gravest threats. It's a beast of a weapon, capable of delivering a 1/500 kg warhead at a staggering 3.5 times the speed of sound. Recently, however, the Navy ingeniously repurposed this air defense titan into a formidable ground strike weapon. While a Tomahawk boasts a longer range, the SM-6's incredible speed makes it nearly impossible to intercept, filling a critical gap in the Navy's strike capabilities. For years this surface attack mode was a guarded secret, but on this night it was finally unleashed. The Navy chose the SM-6 for one crucial reason: the target was on the move. Satellite intel confirmed the SA-6 launcher was still in the area, but with a top speed of 34 Mach, it could vanish by the time a slower missile arrived. Every second was critical. After receiving the go-ahead from Saint-Siom, the crew of the Spruance raced to their launch position in the Red Sea. In a high-stakes race against time, watchstanders had less than 30 minutes to plot a complex firing solution. A missile's path is no straight line. It requires dozens of calculated waypoints to navigate terrain and defenses. Once the missile reaches its initial waypoint, a classified mission library takes over, guiding it with lethal precision. At 3:45 a.m., two SM-6 erupted from the destroyer with a blinding flash of light. The missiles covered several hundred miles in a breathtaking 6 minutes. Despite the Houthis' formidable air defenses, they were utterly useless against the SM-6, which glided in effortlessly before delivering a devastating blow, annihilating the SA-6 launcher. Subsequent intelligence confirmed the target was completely destroyed, along with 8 Houthi operators. But America's response had only just begun. Between 2014 and 2015, Houthi forces had captured up to 15 SA-6 launchers, and with significant aid from Iran over the last decade, they had modernized their arsenal with advanced radars and seekers. They now possessed a vast and deadly stockpile, and had shown they were not afraid to use it against US forces. This aggression could not be allowed to stand. After the initial retaliatory strike, the Navy decided it was time to issue a permanent and unforgettable warning. At 6:00 p.m., the first of 4 relentless waves of F-18s launched from the deck of the USS Harry S. Truman. These jets were not carrying standard munitions. They were armed with something far more devastating. Instead of typical 2,000 lb bombs, the Navy unleashed the AGM-154 Joint Standoff Weapon JSOB. The JSO is a precision-guided glide bomb that can strike targets from up to 130 kilometers away, far outside the reach of enemy defenses. Whether carrying 145 individual bomblets or a massive explosive warhead, it is the long arm of American justice in the region. And on that night, justice was swift. From 6:00 p.m. to 11:30 p.m., wave after wave F-18s hammered Houthi storage bunkers near Sana'a. As a final, decisive blow, the guided missile destroyer USS bravely fired 6 Tomahawk missiles into the smoldering ruins. When the smoke cleared, the results were staggering. 14 ballistic missiles, 3 more SA-6 launchers, and 23 anti-ship cruise missiles were utterly obliterated. While this powerful strike crippled the Houthis' ability to attack, it did not erase their entire arsenal. That fight would be left for another day.